If you want to get the top odds every time, bet with Top Sport's Same Game Multi. Top Sport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
Well, the ransom has been paid to the Thai authorities and we have our cameraman back on deck, albeit a few ping pong balls floating around the room. Not too sure where they're coming from. But anyway, nevertheless, we've got another big edition of the Same Game Multi podcast coming today. J-Rod looks really interested as always, scrolling on his phone there, first up.
I just studying the form.
We're going to look at the Cox Plate coming up this weekend. Also, there's a big UFC Middleweight bout happening on Sunday, which we'll take a look at. And J-Rod's going to cover off some EPL as well. So make sure you stay on side because we're about to kick off. As I welcome in to my left, Cherry, Mr. Chez.
Good afternoon.
And Mr. Burtman, J-Rod. How are you, mate?
Marvellous. Good to be here.
How was the week, gentlemen?
It was so far so good. Not a bad little weekend on the punt for myself, on the horses that is. Everything else was miserable as always. I actually got a couple of shout outs too from the weekend. Young Lockie Taylor, he listens all the time. Actually in the, what would we call it, the disaster area up there around the main man's house, where, if those who don't know, we had a little tornado touchdown. There was a bit of devastation. I was working across the road from his house and he popped over and said g'day, so shout out to you, Lockie. Also yesterday I was delivering some windows and doors up to the town of Gyra, and Matty Jackson come over and said g'day, and he says he's a big listener, tried to get some photos, get me to sign a couple of things.
Signed his tip?
Mate, I was under the pump and couldn't do it, but shout out to you, Matty. He said him and the boys, they get on, and mate, if you got any tips for us, mate, let us know.
Definitely. Just on that, boys, just a bit of a serious note, as J-Rod mentioned, we did actually have a tornado go through our town here of Armidale. For the locals that are here, they obviously know about it. If not, quite a bit of devastation. It was a bit like a war zone. Actually went through my area where I live. I was just on the edge of it, so came out pretty unscathed. But compared to others, there's been a lot of damage and a lot of houses up there which are going to be pulled down. So if you are listening and you do want to donate, or you're a corporation or you work for someone that you know might want to donate, get in touch with us via our webpage or our socials. There's quite a few GoFundMe pages set up for a few of the people that did lose their homes. We'd be more than happy to get you in touch with them as well. So it'd be really, really good cause, because there's going to be people out of their homes for about 18 months, 2 years by the time they get them knocked down and rebuilt. So a lot of devastation and very frightening at the time it was too.
Well, you say right on the edge. When you say right on the edge, what do you reckon? 50 metres from where the path, where it must have been the centre of the funnel, where it exactly went, and where it was literally just turning houses to rubble. You would have been, what, 50 metres?
Yeah, about 50 metres away.
That's,
we're just on the right side of the street.
You know, they say kissed on the dick.
Hey, I wish I was. But yeah, you know, like I said, a bit serious, but yeah, it'd be really great if you could donate anything. There's some GoFundMe pages, about 4 or 5 that I know of. There's probably a few more, but get in touch and we'll happily put you in touch with those as well if you did want to donate. Be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, just a small example of that too. We actually seen there was brick units that were actually just flattened and crushed. Like, that's how bad it was. It was, yeah, very, very scary.
All right, boys, enough of that serious talk. Let's get into last week's Multis. Cherry, how'd you go with yours, mate?
I got another one.
I've got the chockies.
Another little pick up there for the old charity bets.
It was Art Cardo, I think.
Art Cardo, yeah.
In the Kosciuszko.
Just trying to remember what it was paying.
$7.50.
Thank you, $7.50. Yeah, so that was a nice little pick up there.
Yeah.
Had
so
a little...
Another about 65 added to the kitty, I think it was, which was great.
I think at the time that it ran in, it was a little bit shorter than that, was it?
Possibly.
I think it came right in. Yeah, it was good to get on it early.
Any luck for you, mate? With the charity bets?
No luck again this week, but I tell you what, it's one of those things. I actually had the trifecta. I tried to pick the big one, and it was Eldorado that ran in. That was the one that I missed out on. I just missed out on that, and it wasn't until about 5 minutes afterwards I thought, why the fuck did I not have that horse in there when it was the horse that beat Nature Strip in their last start? So, but yeah, unlucky. But I tell you what, my main tip was Masked Crusader.
Come home strong,
and I tell you what, there was a bee's lizard in it.
Yeah.
I reckon another 10 metres and Nature Strip was he would have been done. But that was the fastest first and second quarter that they'd seen there in a long time. That was the quickest of the day from Nature Strip, and still got the chocolate. So that just shows you how good a horse Nature Strip is. Credit where credit's due. But yeah, unfortunately, I was one away. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I was the same. Not much luck at my end. But anyway, we'll move on to this week. Bigger and better things this week for sure.
I actually had a little side bet that's going over the weekend. It's currently, it would have currently still been running. I'll touch on that later. That runs into my low light of the week, so I'll explain that in a little while.
All right, well, let's jump into that. So, highlight of the week for you, Chez?
Mate, my highlight actually was from today, start of the NBA season. The Milwaukee Bucks, last year's winners, kicked off very impressive. They took on the Nets and won 127 to 104. The highlight of that game was Patty Mills. He actually played 29 minutes. He plays for the Nets. In those 29 minutes, he had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 21 points, and those 21 points were 7 from 7 3-pointers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he was playing pretty good.
Sounds
so
like, a bit like me back in the day.
It's
From downtown.
that's not a bad effort. I don't know if you've ever actually stood on the 3-point line. Not so much when you're in front, because you do get some assistance from the backboard. But if you start to change your direction, it becomes a fucking long way. And realistically, the 3-point from anywhere but in front is all swish. So 7 from 7. Hey, hats off.
only Scottie Pippen could make those regularly, couldn't he?
Hey, that's exactly right.
Pitmeister. So
my highlight was actually the run of Masked Crusader. I actually saw an aerial vision through. They had a drone above them. I'm not sure if you boys have seen it, but when you go back through in the last 300 metres, you can't even see Masked Crusader's feet, and then it starts to weave through in and out of traffic. It has to the jockey has to pull the reins twice, otherwise there was going to be a collision, and then just got open with 100 metres to go, hit it with the strap, and away it went. So just that grit and determination, and that leads into another one of Colette, and it's I think it's a 7-year-old mare, and just on the, I think it was on the turn, which is generally about 450, 500 away, was gone, absolutely gone, shaking the reins. And I said to me mates I was having a sip with and a punt, I said, I think I'm gone here, boys. Hard ridden on the turn, and just powered through, just kept that constant pace through the wet ground and done well. But it was just a good weekend of punting.
boys, for me, it's Mr. Cherry's continuous run of form in the charity bet. He just seems to be getting one up every week. Credit to you, mate. You've been keeping us going, which is fantastic. I think that's about 3 weeks in a row now. You got some points on the board for us. As I said, Top Sport are donating $50 a week for us to have a play with, and any money we do win off that will be going to our nominated charities after about 6 months. So Chez is keeping us in the hunt at the moment, which is fantastic. We've got to lift our game a little bit, Birdo.
Yeah, well, someone's got to do it, don't they? So,
So that was me, mate. Congratulations. You're
Thank you.
going really well, which is surprising because you were pretty trash throughout the football season.
Yeah, chasing those big odds. I'm actually a bit more conservative with these charity bets, so
good.
Yeah,
Rain
it's
a
actually
little
paying off.
yeah, don't say that too loud. We'll lose our major sponsor. Shout out again to the boy to the crew at Top Sport too for
Definitely.
for organising that charity bet and everything. So, low light boys.
Yep.
Jump
in, Chez.
Chez, kick it
All
off.
right. So I had a 20-leg multi. I put $10 on it. It was paying $103. I would have got back $1,030. There's 2 legs left to play tonight. They're 2 UEFA games, very short price favourites. Enter the low light of the week. Bangladesh getting beat by Scotland by 6 runs cost me $1,000 from $10.
Ouch.
I am dirty on them.
Ouch.
Very dirty.
Bangladesh. Won't be getting a Christmas card, mate.
They were paying $1.14.
Were they really?
$1.14.
$1.14.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised though. Yeah. Anyway, So it's
furious
in
I
the
was.
T20, yeah?
Very
The T20. I think it was 2 nights ago. That was.
Yeah.
very short. But if you have a look at the ICC World Rankings, you'll find that I think it might be the number one 2020 all-rounder. Got a couple of batters in their bowlers, so they can't play the long game.
Overall, for the odds, that they're 8th, and Scotland's last,
And they got rolled.
Bit of match fixing going on there, I reckon.
lucky it's not
There'll be a secret tape coming out on Current Affair in about 3 years' time.
Lucky it's not the knockout competition, otherwise they'd be gone early. My low light for the week is me not putting Eldorado in that trifecta. As I said before, I touched on it. It wasn't until it raced afterwards, and I don't know whether I just flicked past it or what, whether I was putting one in there to try and get a little bit of value or something. But as I said, that was the horse that beat Nature Strip in its last start. And for some reason, I didn't put it in there. It baffles me. And when it raced, and I had the same bet on myself, and it wasn't until afterwards I thought that for myself. I could have a little bit of coin for the charities, a little bit of coin for myself. But this week I'm going to put myself in the bin.
Fair enough, mate. And all credit to you being man enough to admit when you're wrong. Boys, for me, I mentioned it last week. I think it was the disrespect the Panthers showed to the trophy in their celebrations, and this week it's come out again in the headlines. Few players have been fined over that, and also for some other comments on Instagram after the grand final win. So I suppose for me, it's just that we're only 2 weeks out, 2 weeks post the NRL grand final, and they're already negative headlines. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a long off season if this is going to be the trend going forward. So I said it last week, they need to pull their heads in, and the NRL, they've stepped in and say, hey, that's not good enough, and hit them where it hurts.
See, this is what I don't understand, but a lot of people are saying that their confidence has been mistaken for their cockiness has been mistaken for their confidence, rather. Yeah, I'll read into that. Now I'm not reading into it. You know, when you see all this sort of rubbish, this sort of garbage, it's unnecessary. By all means, I tell you what, if there's sides out there to be cocky and the boys who love to party, as the Melbourne Storm boys, for example, you have a look at Brandon Smith and Cameron Munster, who had a 4-day bender, and then the Queensland coach rang him. Obviously, at that point, the Origin games were at the end of the season, thanks to COVID. Basically, rang Munster and said, "Right, what are you doing? Are you going to come play, or are you still partying?" There's where do you draw the line? And, you know, for those boys who love to party, they didn't do anything that like malicious or anything like that to the trophy. And for these Panthers boys, and everyone's saying that you're just mistaken their confidence for cockiness. No, I'm not reading that anymore.
Yeah, no, I just think that, like I said, 2 weeks out and we're already negative headlines. Not a great look for the game. So, anyway, that caps that off, boys. Let's run into Three of a kind.
Three of a kind this week, boys. Three of a kind. If we're holding a function or a party, we're going to call it a house party. And you have an invite list from anyone on that invite list.
Corey Norman.
Hey, Corey. Hey, well, I suppose
I might put him down.
I was going to say we're going to have three of a kind that can come to a house party. But I suppose if Daniel Alvaro hides in the wardrobe and
DeBellin under the bed.
DeBellin's under the bed, can we have five?
They count.
But no, we'll stick with the three, boys. So 3 people you can invite to a house party, sports personnel only. I'll kick it off. The biggest fish, I'm going to go Shane Warne. How can you not have him at a party? Fair dinkum.
Does he get a +1 or a +3 or?
Mate, he can bring anyone he wants. Matter of fact, just bring his phone because I'm pretty sure his phone's all he needs. But that's
Elizabeth Hurley can bring her.
Yeah. So my number one, Shane Warne. Welcome aboard.
Shane Warne. Yep, I like it.
Mate, my number one's Phil Nicholson.
Phil.
Yeah, one of the old golfing champions and still can play a good game. Probably the best short game player I've ever seen in my life watching golf. An absolute freak. And he's very, very quick with some comebacks too, especially like when the crowd give him a bit of a haggle. He doesn't say anything bad. He's just very, very funny. He's just got that relaxed personality to him. And I think he'd have a lot of good stories to tell from playing around the world as well. So
Actually, had you pegged more of a John Daly kind of guy.
Well, mate, if we're going down the pub for schooners, definitely John Daly.
John Daly, you want to make sure you're going somewhere where there's access to cigarettes because I reckon he'd outsmoke anyone.
He would.
Boys, I've got the big man, Shaq. Big Shaquille O'Neal, who was big back in my days when I was growing up watching the NBA. Just one of those towering figures. What is he, 7'6" or something like that?
He's huge.
I think he'd have some pretty great stories, and he's a really good bloke. You see a lot of clips and stuff on Instagram and whatnot about buying food for homeless and all this kind of stuff now, which obviously he's in a position where he can. I think the Shaq attack.
He has some very funny panel moments with Kevin Hart as well. Those two look really, really gel. So you got Kevin Hart and The Rock for like the movie entertainment side. But when it comes to sport, Kevin Hart and Shaq, that's what you get onto.
Yeah, right.
It's good.
That's it. Righto. Number 2, boys. I'm going to go Nick Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios can come to my house party any day of the week. And hey, those out there that are into sport, I don't need to describe why.
Bit wild party, that's for sure.
That's the plan.
Mate, my second is Wayne Mardle. Wayne, he used to be a professional darts player. He's now on the commentary side, works with Sky Sports. A very, very big entertainer. He was a bit of a showman back in his day when he was playing professionally. Very, very quirky. I reckon he'd bring a lot of life to the party, especially after a couple of loudmouth soups.
Boys, my number 2 is your number 3, Warnie. I think he'd be a pretty good dinner guest to come around and pretty good for the house party, get things cracking after about 11 o'clock. I think things would take off a bit with Warnie at your house. So.
He'd have some stories too. All night. You'd be laughing all night, I reckon.
And fairly cheap too. You just need some baked beans. That's all you'd have to feed him. So.
Well, I remember hearing a podcast, and Warren said they did a boot camp once. And they said this is when they were getting ready for a big Ashes Test series over in England, and they went. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they were doing a boot camp, and they were taken there by some Defence Force personnel, and they were put through the straps. Anyway, and they were about 100 metres in, and Warnie's gone to the back pocket and pulled out a cigarette, and they said, "No, that's not how it works." And Warnie said, "Well, if I don't take my cigarettes, I don't train, and if I don't train, I'm not playing." And they knew how valuable Warnie was, and they said, "Right, we'll do your deal. You either take your cigarettes, or we take your cigarettes, or we'll take your underwear." Warnie chose his cigarettes. So he went commando for about 4 days, had no jocks for 4 days.
Just so you get the
just so he could have his cigarettes.
Very good. Who's your number 1, mate?
My number 1, boys, I'm going to go Blake Ferguson, the Fergusaurus. I'm going to go back to his Raiders days. When Carney and those boys were there, so I'm going to go the Fergusaurus. I think he'd be a character, like him. It'd be him or the Fox if I was going to pick someone from the NRL, mate. I just think they'd be the life of the party all night. It'd be good to have around.
Yeah, stocked up on your breezers.
But Cardi, he can bring his own.
This is a little bit left field. This one, don't know if you boys know this. Tony G. I can't pronounce his last name. He's
Ali G.
He's a professional poker player.
Oh, okay.
So sports entertainment. So it fits into the field. It is classed under sports now, especially through KO. He's from Lithuania. That's why his last name's hard to pronounce. He's part Lithuanian, part Australian. And I'll tell you what, if you want to see some heckling, like when people are playing poker for big money, watch this guy. Absolutely hilarious, and just gives it to him big time. Doesn't care what he says, and it's full on hilarious. I love him.
Very good. Sounds like your party's going to be full of quick wit and a bit of name calling, I reckon.
Quick wit and big wallets, I think. What it sounds.
Boys, I've gone not so much a sports person, but you'll know who it is when I talk. Dana White from the UFC.
Oh yes.
I think he'd have some really good stories as well. If you get on the wrong side, he can be a bit of a prick, but I reckon if you got on well with him, he'd be a bloody good bloke. So I reckon, and obviously it'd be his shout as well. So
bloody oath. I reckon he's probably forgotten more stories than what he knows.
Yeah, exactly. But just
have a fair few of them.
Pick his brain about those early days in the UFC and how the Fertittas bought it and that kind of stuff and how they got it off the ground. And more so, that's what I'd be interested in more so than now. But yeah.
We were literally talking about Tank Abbott about 2 nights ago at work.
Yeah.
Back in those old days, yeah.
Tank.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, that was a great 3 of a kind. Really enjoyed that. Like I said, make sure you get in contact with us. If you do have any ideas for 3 of a kind, let us know. You can ask the question at our web site or hit us up on our socials. But what we're going to do now, boys, we're going to take a quick little break. and we'll be back straight after this.
You can't beat Top Sport's best of the best multis. Top odds are guaranteed during any Saturday Metro meeting. Plus, there's best of the best to win up to 50 grand on the Cox Plate too. Top Sport. Feel the excitement.
T's and C's apply. Gamble responsibly.
Very good. Thank you for sticking around. We're back. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the Cox Plate. Big race coming up at Saturday, the 23rd of October, this Saturday. It's at 5:10. 2,040 metres, so quite a big race. J-Rod's going to kick us off. He is the resident horseman and downstairs as well. So he's going to... Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about someone else.
No,
I was just about to look over my shoulder.
He's going to... well, I've heard you can do that. So.
Enough.
He's going to kick us off. We're looking at... We've got a mark. It's going to pop up on the screen in a second of the three favourites. Looks as though it's a bit of a three-horse race, J-Rod, but does it, if you look a bit deeper, can you find any value in the market?
Well, in my eyes, you can. It's one of those sort of races. It's a big scalp. Winks herself won 4 of them, which, whilst ever I'm alive, it'll never be done again. I can almost guarantee that. Once in a lifetime horse, and that's a massive achievement on top. Boys, realistically, going off the market, it is a 3-horse race. I'll stick with Anemone at 5s. I've been on the Anemone bandwagon for a while now, and I'll stick with it as well. I think that's one of the best horses Godolphin's got in the country. Having said that, Zaki was beaten in its last start, which in my eyes was a horrible run. And I get that funny feeling that it could only be a one-off. There might have been something, in the pipeline there, whether, I'm not saying that horses ever get held back, but whether it was more so of a fitness run than anything, but come around the turn, as I said earlier, boys, it was very hard ridden. So, it's up and down sort of thing. Very elegant as well. Very elegant in my eyes, is one of the best horses in the country without a doubt. Very, very, very good horse. Boys, having said that, if you're looking for a little bit of value, I wouldn't go too far past Probabile at 15s and Maunga also at 15s. And don't let the odds fool you, boys and girls out there listening. These are 2 good horses as well. And I'll tell you something, all these horses are here for a reason. You're not going to send a horse, particularly some of these horses have travelled from Sydney down to Melbourne. You're not going to send horses that far to lose a race, so they're all there for a reason. But in my eyes, if you're chasing something with a little bit of value, or if you're going to have something up in your trifecta, or you're going to have a little first 4, I wouldn't shy away from those 2.
So looking at the market, Zaki's $2.70 favourite. Very Elegant's come into $4.60. He was out about $6 this morning when I looked. He's come right in.
Must have been after put my bet on.
Someone's had a plunge on him, that's for sure. And Anamo's drifted out to $5. So they're the top 3 favourites. As J-Rod said, there's a few others there around the $10, $12 mark. Chez, what do you think, mate? You got a little roughie for the punters out there?
I'm the same as Birdo, mate. I'm going to back number 5, Mo'unga. Really like Huey Bowman, one of my favourite jockeys. We were talking about jockeys last week. Someone with his experience in that, they can ride any sort of decent horse over the line and pick up the chocolates. Trained by Annabelle Neesham as well. It was bred from Savabeel, Australian horse, and the New Zealander Chandelier. So it's definitely got some skill there behind it with the breeding. 12 starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. As well, so it's got a 41% win rate, 66% place rating,
1.2 million prize money.
Yeah,
that's a fair bit of coin. 1.2 million in 12 races. That works out $100,000 a race. So.
And I think they've been looking for this horse to have a longer race too.
Yeah. So
this could be its time.
Boys, I think Zaki will win, the $2.70 favourite, but she's a bit short. So I've actually looked for a bit of value, and I've gone State of Rest, number 8. It's paying $10 at the moment, thanks to Top Sport. I think it looks pretty good. It's had pretty good form coming in. Just looking at it now, last few starts have been relatively good. And I just like him as a bit of a roughie, mate. So that's who my roughie is. If you like a bit of value, $10. I'll get on it now because I think he might come in a bit too.
It's one of those horses too, being an Irish horse. These imports, obviously, this time of year, our money is among some of the best. It is the best in the world at the moment when it comes to prize money, boys. So a lot of these horses will come over. and they'll try and push, which this is basically for horses that want to have a crack at a Melbourne Cup, which is 2 weeks away. This is probably your last chance, because there's no way on God's earth will you race a horse next week into the Melbourne Cup the week after at 3,200 metres, boys. But I tell you what, I'm going to stay firm on Anemone. Anemone's my top pick. Only carrying 49 kilos.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I'm going to stick with it. Being a colt, only young, boys, I can't go past it at fives, carrying less than 50 kilos at $5. So that's where I am. But like I said before, if I'm going to pick a roughie too, it's I'll go with Mango at 15s as well.
You only sort of see those weights when there's like an apprentice on them too, don't you? So, yeah.
So it should be good. But like you said, Chez, if you're picking a jockey this weekend, Huey Bowman, he's done it 4 times on Winks. So one more won't hurt.
Very good, boys. Hopefully we get something up there. Surely we get something.
Would you?
We will.
Yeah. All right, let's move into, there's a big UFC middleweight fight happening on Sunday at 10 a.m. This one's between Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori. Now, it's going to have a lot of implications in the middleweight title picture. Both these guys are coming off a loss to the champ, Israel Adesanya. Costa, he hasn't fought for over a year. His last loss was to Izzy, and that was in September 2020. I don't know if you remember. It was a pretty humiliating second-round TKO. Izzy was actually humping him at the end of the fight. So he's had a long layoff, whereas Vittori, he's actually come off a 5-round unanimous decision loss to the champ. I watched the highlights of both those fights today, and I can tell you Vittori put up a much better fight than Costa did. I think it's going to be a long night for Costa unless he can get an early finish. I think with his long layoff, he's going to have a bit of ring rust. And his cardio, you know, they're both very bulky, muscly men. And you got to pump a lot of oxygen to those muscles. So I think unless he gets an early knockout, I think I can see him fading. And I can see Vittori getting either a late fourth or fifth round finish or even a decision.
Will this so a win for these boys, will that then push them into a number one contender, or is it basically cemented to Rob Whittaker?
I think Whittaker should get it. Personally, I think Whittaker should get it. The fact that both these boys have just come off a loss to Izzy, I think they probably need to win this and then win another one. I'd like to see Whittaker get it, and I think he deserves it. And I think he'd do a lot better again in his second match than he would in his first match. I don't think he performed very well in that first match. He didn't, figure out the puzzle that is Adesanya. And again, I watched these fights today, and he was just cruising in both of them. He never really looked under pressure. Vettori got his back in the third round, and he just didn't panic. He spun out of it straight away, kept trying to take him down, and he just had his measure the whole fight. I think he coasted a bit in it, to be honest. But, yeah, I'd like to see Whittaker get it, mate.
Well, going off the words of Dana White, his come from his mouth exactly was that Rob Whittaker's last fight, in his last win, was one of the best fights he's seen in a decade. It was 100% textbook. He's just basically reading the textbook and reading it back to him. So, but having said that, Rob Whittaker, I think he's learned a big lesson from his last fight against Izzy. I remember watching that, and he was taught a lesson real quick. He was in trouble in probably the first 2 minutes in that fight, and didn't last much more after that. But having said that, Rob Whittaker, from Dana White, exactly said that he's one of the most determined, fittest, and just mentally strong. He's one of the best in the game.
Good with his hands too.
Yep.
Unreal. But I'm leaning with you, Clint. I reckon Vittori's going to roll this up. Classic case of chalk and cheese fighter here. So we've got striker versus grappler. I think if Costa's is paying $229. If he's going to win it, it's going to have to be before the end of the second round. I think he's going to get worn down. So his percentage for his wins is 85%. They're TKO KO wins. You look over at Vettori. He's got 53% of his wins by submission and 35% by decision. So he's used to doing all that hard work, fighting out through all the rounds. Pretty similar in height, 6'1" to 6 foot, both 185 pounds. Vittori's got a 2-inch reach on him Not that he'll actually use it. I can see this.
Fuck, very mature.
Like the old saying.
Yes.
What was it? If you think trenches doesn't matter, ask the missus. So I think that's going to go definitely in the favour of Vettori, unless Costa does get a couple of big hits on early and rattles him and gets him down.
And he's a chance of doing that. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's a knockout artist. So if he catches you flush, you're gone.
Tell you, another good stat here too, in the favour of Costa, 80% takedown defence success rate.
Yeah, okay.
So, so if Vittori is trying to come in and take him down a lot of them will be challenged and probably successfully challenged as well. So
I'm going to go Paulo Costa.
Oh, yeah, going the underdog.
I'm going to go the underdog. I'm going to go for an upset. I think he'll chin him. I reckon he'll take it, like he'll not so much early. I'm going to say between rounds 2 and 3. I think we might see a knockout.
I think there'll be the first round will be very feeling out period. I don't think there'll be much thrown in that first round. But you never know. You might get him. Like I said, he is a knockout artist, and you have a look at the size of him.
He's a big boy.
You only need to graze you and you'd be out.
It's one of those sort of sports too where things can go you can be upside down real quick.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah.
Wonder if there's a market for the fight to finish by the classic armbar or a Kimura, because I'll be all over that one.
The old Marty Jannetty sleeper hole. Boys, I'm going Vittori. You're going
Vittori.
All right, 2 to 1. See what happens. 10 a.m. That one's free too, not a pay-per-view. So if you do have KO, 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. Nice early start. All right, let's jump into the EPL. J-Rod, he's going to take the floor on this one. Chez and I aren't the biggest EPL fans or football fans. We are trying to get on board. J-Rod's teaching us a lot of stuff, as to as my brother-in-law, Reese. But, mate, we're going to chuck it over to you and give you the floor, and we'll just bounce off you.
Yeah, a couple of big games on the weekend in the EPL. I haven't said that too, boys. There's a couple of big games tonight, tomorrow morning. When it comes to Champions League, people don't understand how much football these guys play. For example, Liverpool, they'll play Champions League in the morning, and they played on Friday night. So speaking of Liverpool, 5-0 beat Watford in an absolute drumming. Mohamed Salah, who is an absolute freak, and at the moment the talk of the town is that he's the best in the world. At the moment, and he's ticking all the boxes. I tell you, he's on fire. So in there, but then again, too, it's one of those things. It's a race of giants. It's like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. It's all about the money over there. You know, your Liverpools, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, your Manchester Uniteds, your Tottenham Hotspur, and all that sort of stuff. So,
what about the Gunners? They up there?
Arsenal. Well, they generally they are this year, mate. They are shocking. They're playing some bad football, and they shouldn't be. You know, they've got plenty of strike power, a Aubameyang up top and stuff like that. They've got the ability to be good, but they're just struggling at the moment. So
I didn't want to hear that because I got them in a multi for the charity this week. So, deflation.
Might be putting a pen through it, but boys, basically, the only ones that went down out of the big four were Manchester United, and they lost 4-2 to Leicester City. So Jamie Vardy putting on a masterclass, winding back the clock to 3 or 4 years ago when they won the comp and done it easily. But the other one too, so they'll obviously play all in the morning. Obviously PSG played this morning. They scored Lionel Messi 3-1. Lionel Messi scored a double in that to take themselves through to a couple extra points.
What's that? Is Paris
Saint-Germain.
Saint-Germain.
Yeah,
thank you.
Or if you want to put a little European spin on the
Paddy?
word. Nah, on Jermaine, like Jermaine.
Oh, Jermaine, not Paddy Jermaine.
Yeah, that's it. So, boys, Ange Postecoglou.
This is riveting stuff.
Yeah. So, boys, there's a couple of Aussies in there too in the mix, but in the Europa League, so the one underneath the Champions League for club football in the world, Aussie Ange Postecoglou. Do you remember him? He coached. He coached the Socceroos for many years. Coached us to a Asian Cup win, which is we had a crack at it before, but we missed out. So he got the chockies there. Also, he's coached us in the World Cup. He's been there, done it all. Unfortunately, hasn't won the World Cup. Probably never will, unfortunately for Australia. But he's now coach of Celtic, and they won this morning in the Europa League. They won 2-1. But I tell you what, boys, the burners are on over there. 10 games, and he's had 6 wins from 10 games, and the pressure's already on.
Really? 60%
so
win rate.
That's just European style football for you.
Yeah.
So
Little quick trivia for you, Birdo. I've been trying to rack my brain the last 10 minutes. Speaking of soccer, who was the goalie, the soccer goalie? I think he was an Australian that went over to NFL and he was their punt kicker. Would have been a couple of handfuls of years ago now. Pretty sure he was an Aussie goalie, and he was almost finishing his soccer career. He got nabbed up by the NFL because of how far he could actually kick the ball.
yeah, right.
He went over to play NFL like 1 or 2 seasons, got paid a mozza, touched the ball for maybe half an hour in his whole career, and got paid a squillion.
Yeah, half his luck.
Yeah.
eh?
Might have to put that in 21 and done, I think, if you boys can't come up with the answer.
21 and done. So, but in the A-League, boys, Daniel Sturridge, who played up around 300 games for Liverpool in the English Premier League, has signed with Perth Glory on a 12-month deal. So, boys, now, like I said before, when it comes to our Big Bash and stuff like that, and our A-League, it's because we run under that salary cap system is we struggle to sign these big-name players, which then our domestic game isn't quite strong enough then to develop our international game. And like I said about Ra and Super Rugby, boys, you're never going to build a big platform down the bottom when you can't win at the top. So having someone like Daniel Sturridge come in, over the years we've had some big players, Emil Heskey, Shinji Ono, Alessandro Del Piero, Daniel Sturridge is...
Usain Bolt.
Hey, no, that's as silly as it sounds. Usain Bolt had a couple of games for the Mariners and stuff. So, boys, but for A-League purpose, it's like watching paint dry. But that's a massive signing. So,
I'm going to run through some English Premier League matches, mate, and I just want your pick, all right? So, you got Arsenal versus Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, Arsenal.
Chelsea versus Norwich City.
Chelsea in a walk.
Norwich are paying $15 if you like a bit of value there. We've got Crystal Palace versus Newcastle United.
That can probably go either way. I'll probably go Palace, but Newcastle have been bought by one of the oil gods, we're going to call them, one of the people who have massive money in oil in the Middle East. So you watch Manchester United and Manchester City, Newcastle United will be there again.
Okay.
They'll be up there soon.
Gold-plated boots.
Absolutely, mate. The money in these, like the Sheik, for example, that owns Emirates and everything like that, mate. Yeah, phenomenal money.
Everton versus Watford.
I think Everton. However, that's my side, and I have a little rule. I try and keep them out of my favourites because there's nothing worse than sitting there watching it, wanting them to lose, but then for your own good, you want them to win.
Leeds United versus the Wolves.
Wolverhampton.
Southampton versus Burnley.
Southampton.
And I'll just pick 2 more here. Man U versus Liverpool. Man U are the outsiders at $3. Liverpool paying $2.25.
With the form of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane and them boys, I'm going to go Liverpool.
Who's Man City playing, does it say there? Because I got them in a multi too with Arsenal. Can't remember who they were playing.
I might be in the next week's games here, I think. So, who'd you say? Manchester City?
Man City.
Yeah. Brighton.
Hove Albion.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I'll pump them.
They will?
Yep.
Very good.
Cool. Very good, boys. Let's jump into our charity bet real quick before we take another break. And on the other side of the break, we'll have 21 done, beer of the week, and we'll wrap her up. What's your charity bet, Chez? We'll let you go first, mate, seeing you're the one keeping us alive.
All right, listeners, I've got 3 this week. We'll start off with the Cox Plate. So as I said earlier, my pick is Mo'unga, but I'm going to have him for a place with that 66%
Mate,
place.
we don't back horses to lose.
So I'm going to chuck 20 on him for a place, and at the moment he's paying $3.60. Little EPL multi here for Birdo. He's picked all of mine, which is good. Little 4-legger. Arsenal, Chelsea, Everton, and Man City. I'm going to have $10 on them. That's at $4.95. Then we're going to jump back into the NBA, which has just kicked off today, like I said earlier. Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, Utah Jazz, and the Phoenix Suns. Old Charles Barkley, stomping around back there. Mate, I'm going to put 20 on that, and that's at $4.65.
Beautiful. I'm just having 2 this week. I'm splitting it down the middle. 25 on Zaki to win, Cox Plate at $2.70, and 25 on Marvin Vittori to get the victory over Paulo Costa in the UFC Middleweight bout.
Is that just a head-to-head, that one?
Just head-to-head, yeah, paying $1.57.
Boys, I'm going to go against you here. I'm going to crack the whip down the guts. 25, I'm going to stick with Anemone. As I said earlier, carrying absolutely no weight. And being around that middle to long distance sort of race, I think that's very important. So I'm going to have 25 at fives. And I've got a little EPL one. Arsenal, Chelsea, Everton, Crystal Palace into Manchester City. Ladies and gentlemen, that is $10.64.
It's nice odds on that. All right, as I said, stick around. We've got some fun stuff happening at the other side of the break.
Another half win. From punters jumping in early or waiting too late. You get a good price on one leg, but the others have shortened dramatically. You still win, but it feels like you half win. Introducing Top Sport's Best of the Best multi. Get top odds on every leg, every time. Don't be one of these. Just bet and forget Bob Multi. Top Sport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to jump into 21 and done now. The host is back in his seat, rightful host, and I can tell you, I was very stressed last week, boys. I was under a bit of pressure, but I channeled that into a victory. So.
It's a bit different calling them out to have been under the.
I'll tell you what, I'm
under the
glad
gun.
I'm back in the hosting chair because that was terrifying.
Like I said to a couple of me mates, I said, boys, you don't understand. Like you lads might be sitting in the car going, "Oh yeah, I know that one. Bang, got this one, that one." So when the pressure's on, it's not as easy as you think.
On the camera with the microphones, it changes a little bit.
Absolutely.
Do we want to test our buzzers?
Bertman.
Chez.
All right, very nice and deep. Start with an easy one, as we always do. Which 3 Panthers players were fined by the NRL this week?
I didn't actually read that. Bertman. I'm gonna go Cleary. I'm going to go Fisher Harris. He's a bit of
Not the fish. He's at home with a newborn.
I was same as you, but so I'll still Cleary. I read today Tyrone May's been dropped. So is he one of them?
He was one, yeah. So you got 2 or 3.
Take a stab here and say Jerome Luai.
Oh, no, not quite. You want to try and steal?
Brian Tutto.
No. It was Stephen Crichton. So no points, unfortunately, with the easy question. All right, the next question is from one of our SGM club members. Who were the 2 fighters who fought in the boxing match dubbed the Thriller in Manila?
Chez. Muhammad Ali. Joe Lewis.
Joe Fraser.
Joe Fraser. Got him. How many points is a touchdown worth in the NFL?
Chez.
I don't know.
Cheers.
5.
7.
Oh, no. Chez 6.
6. Get 7 if you kick the goal.
7, yeah.
Fucking make it. Or technically a touchdown.
And
It's
you
5.
you can get 2 if you back over the line.
In the UFC world, who is known as GSP?
Chez, Georges St. Pierre.
Very good. Even got the Georges there too. I
Yes,
like it.
yeah, Georges.
This one's multiple choice. Which WBBL team does Elise Perry play for?
Bertman 6s.
Didn't even need didn't even need the multiple choice.
No.
He's on the. He's correct. In baseball, the Red Sox play out of which
Chez.
city?
Boston.
Boston is correct. On a roll here, boys. Apart from that first question, which was the easiest. Which rugby league immortal sadly passed away last week at the age of 89?
I was trying to think of his name earlier to run into that Panthers comment. He's on the trophy. So there's a hint for you.
Bertman. That was. Arthur Summons.
That's the other one.
One out of 2.
I've been trying to think of his name.
Norm Proven.
Proven.
Give it a Chez.
All right, you said it, not me. All right, how many Melbourne Cups have Maccabi
Bertman,
Diva
3.
won? Can you name the years? Not for extra point, just for the punters out there.
3, 4, and 5.
4, 5, and 6. Very close. 2004, 2005.
I was gonna say 3.
2006. This one is another question from a club member. Not including merger clubs, which NRL team has won the most wooden spoons?
Yeah, Bertman. This is Parramatta. It is too.
That is correct.
Fucking hell.
Do you know how many?
14 odd or something.
It is.
Yeah.
14. No bonus points. All right, this one's multiple choice as well. Which player has the most appearances for the Socceroos? Is it A, Tim Cahill, B. Mark Schwarzer, or C.
Birdman.
Lucas Neal?
Mark Schwarzer.
Mark Schwarzer is
He
correct.
was the goalie, isn't he? Yeah.
He's in the 500 club in the English Premier League. So, you got the NRL 300 club. In the EPL, he's in the 500 club.
Well, he's paid 109, and Tim Cahill's played 108. So he's nipped him by one. What is the nickname of former Australian cricket captain Mark Taylor?
Chez.
Birdman.
Chez.
Oh.
Tubby.
Tubby is correct. 5 apiece. Nice and close. This is how I like it. 7 times Bathurst 1000 winner is Craig
Birdman.
who?
Chez's eyes not no. That's Craig Lowndes.
Craig Lowndes. Okay. Follow-on question. Need to use your brains. How many laps would there be in 7 Bathurst 1000s?
Oh, fuck. Oh, wow. In how many? 7.
7.
If you tell me how many laps there are, I'll work it out. Then you can have the points.
Hey, bullshit.
You can have the points.
Right, so there's 161 laps.
161 laps.
6 sixes are 36, but there's 7. So there's 40, 400.
Get myself another drink, boys.
It's over. Fucking hell.
So over 1,000.
1,090, like 1,097 or something.
It'd be very close, wouldn't it?
We go closest to, but okay.
Yeah, closest 2 wins.
What Jerry go?
I said 1,097.
I'll go 1,096.
Chez wins. 1,127.
We're close.
Yeah. So, 161 times 7. So, Chez will take that point. The UFC women's flyweight champion is Valentina Shevchenko. How do you spell Shevchenko?
Chez. I'm going to write this down as I'm going. Is that
Loves
allowed?
these ones. Loves them.
Shevchenko, is it?
Shevchenko, yep.
Chev or Shav?
Chev.
CHEV.
Got the first letter wrong.
Shevchenko. I'm going to go SHE
Yes.
V
Yes.
SH.
No.
Oh, fuck.
Keep going.
ANKO.
Oh, you're really close. I'll give you the points. It's SHEV, so you got that right. CHENKO.
Shenko.
So I'm going to give you the points because you were pretty close there.
About time.
Oh, the rest apart from the first one.
Yeah, I know. Fucked up from the
That's
start.
bang straight away.
What is the current name of the NRL 17th team to be included in 2023?
Redcliffe Dolphins.
Redcliffe Dolphins.
That is incorrect. It's actually Sunshine Coast.
No, the current name.
Oh,
Is it
current name. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck
got to
it.
listen, mate. I said this 3 weeks ago. You got to listen to the questions.
I feel like Jeopardy.
While playing for the Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, and Phoenix Suns, what number did Shaq wear?
Chez, 32.
32 is correct. Played number 34 for the Lakers and 33 for someone else. All right, this one's multiple choice as well. How many Grand Slams has Novak Djokovic
Too
won?
many. He's a dickhead. It's a lot.
Multiple choice. I better give you the multiple.
Hang on, I'll just have a guess.
Okay.
Chez, 9.
How about I give you the multiple choices? Is it A, 20, B, 19, or C, 18?
Well, I'll go 19 because I said 9.
Correct.
I'm trying to think of what Rafa and because he's very
Federer?
He's Federer. He's very close to them. I'm going to say 20.
20 is correct,
Yeah.
and it's the same as Rafa and Federer. They're
Oh,
all
there
on
you go.
20 at the moment, so
Wow.
got 8 apiece. This is very nice and close. Fantastic. What is the distance of the Cox Plate?
Birdman,
Chez,
Batman.
2040.
Yes, and I did mention it before.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were paying
I've got it
attention.
written down on my sheet here too.
How is cheating?
All right. Which team has won the second most EPL titles?
Oh. See, this goes old school when Newcastle used to be good. I know the second most.
Well, Birdo, I'm just going to have the Jag, this one. Everton.
No. I'm going to say second most ever. I know the most ever would be Manchester United off the top of my head.
That's why I didn't go them.
I'm going to say number 2 is going to be Arsenal had a reign for a while. I'm going to go. Fuck. Put me on the spot here. I'm going to say Chelsea.
Incorrect.
Time another one?
Yes.
Liverpool.
Liverpool is correct. Liverpool with 19.
Go back to the old rule, you can't beat Jaggers.
Man U has
Fact. Marge.
Yeah.
A couple of Marge.
has 20. So 19 for Liverpool. Man U is on top with 20. AFL weirdo Warwick Kappa played majority of his career at which club?
Kappa. Bertman. Was it Richmond? Wasn't.
Swan seems too obvious. I'm a big AFL fan. I'm going to guess and say the Dockers.
You should just go with the obvious one. Over to you.
Yeah.
Swans. 10 plays 9. 10-9.
Rip myself off there.
This last question is worth only 2 points this week. Current number 1 ranked darts player, Gerwin Price, is what nationality?
Chez.
Oh, I got that. I fucking got that. Welsh.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going back to the tape. I'm going to
I'll give it to Birdo if he can correctly pronounce his first name.
Gerwin.
Very close.
It's got like a D. It's pronounced.
Get a win.
Get a win.
Get a win Price.
Get a win.
Yeah, because it's Welsh. Yeah, it's weird, eh?
It sounds like a D.
Is it like Paris or something like that? Like
Sort
you
of.
got going on before?
Got those weird
Fuck, we're
words.
informative on this show. J-Rod's got the victory.
J-Rod got it.
Yeah.
He's finally
Good work.
got it
About
up
time.
for once, which I heard about. Anyway, 21 and done, all done for this week. I'm glad to be hosting again, and I shall be doing for the rest of the season. All right, boys, let's jump into Beer of the Week. Thanks to the Whitebull Hotel, great sponsors of the show. As we mentioned last week, the only drive-through bottle shop in town that is like your McDonald's drive-through. So what does they fix up with this week, boys?
Maybe they've also got the home delivery service too.
They do,
So if you're
fantastic, yes.
stuck at home or you've had a couple and you can't drive and you're running out, give the boys a call and they'll happily drop them off between business hours. Mr. Hawkeye has landed us an absolute beauty here. Hawk's Lager. Not sure if you can quite see it on the screen. It's only new out. Bob Hawke. RIP to him. Mate, he'd be more than happy with this, I reckon. This is sensational. What are they, 4.5%? I think I was going to try and find the cans.
Yeah, heavies.
There we go, right on there. Yeah, so very, very smooth. When you first crack it, I cracked it because it was new, obviously, and I always have a smell of them. The smell wasn't quite appealing, but then the taste is totally different. So don't get turned off by that first initial smell of these guys. Mate, they're very, very enjoyable beer. Tossing up between giving this a 4, I'd say.
4 stubby
4
lids?
stubby lids. I'm actually drinking a Cooper's. Only reason for that is these are so nice we actually ran out of cans, so I had to go back in my fridge and find something else.
I'm going to give it a 4, but I'm going to give it 1 point loading because it's Bob Hawke.
It's a 5.
So I'm going to give it the 5, the full 5.
Nice.
It's actually not a bad beer. The only problem is it being a bit heavy. So as we said previously, if you're going to drive, maybe only have maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, Bobby Hawke. I was just reading here. God rest him, but brewed and packaged off-site under the watchful eye of Hawke.
Well, he's looking down from above, I
I was going to
suppose.
say the big fella must have some cameras in there or something like that.
Do you reckon
but,
you reckon he'd down a few at the cricket?
Oh, mate,
Back in the day?
I still remember he was as frail as all buggery, and there was probably what I'd say about 200 Richie Benos.
Yes.
And they've all got their inflatable microphones, and they're all in their bone ivory, the beige, in their suit, and they're all cheering him on, and he smokes this schooner. And I tell you what, I'm not much of a sculler. I've been in a couple of boat races in my time, but I tell you what, I reckon he'd do me.
Yeah.
He could put one down. I think he had the
record.
He had the record for a yard glass, didn't he?
Those big, long
Yard
ones.
glass. He had the record for a yard glass.
Remember
Something phenomenal, but it's not a bad beer.
Remember the old footage of him at the Hobart yacht race years ago? I think it was back in the 80s from memory. It might have been early 80s, mid 80s.
I think when we won the America's Cup,
Yeah.
84, I think it was.
So he said that was on a Sunday, I believe, because he was talking about the following day.
Yeah.
He said, right, let's all get on the piss, have a good time. anyone that has been hungover, whatever, calls in the sick tomorrow, if you get the sack, your boss is nothing but a bloody low-life mongrel or something.
yeah.
So he said,
Yeah, I do remember. Old Hawkeye.
Speaking of former prime ministers, I actually seen a venue. So obviously in the cities, particularly down there in Sydney, etc., where they're starting to gently open things up. There's actually I'm not exactly sure of which suburb it's in, but there's actually a memorial swimming pool to Harold Holt. I'm honest to God, you Google it, Harold Holt.
They had the front light on.
And I was thinking of all things to give him a memorial. It's a
hilarious.
swimming pool.
All right, boys, enough nonsense. Let's wrap this show up. As I said off the top, we are back on YouTube, so make sure you do subscribe, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up. Wherever you get the podcast, make sure you do subscribe so you get notified as soon as it comes out. Also, as I did mention at the start of the show, we did have the tornado come through our town here. Get in touch with us if you did want to donate anything. There are a few GoFundMe pages set up, and we'll happily put you in place, in contact with those guys that desperately need some help in the coming months and probably years to come. So anything else, boys, before we wrap her up?
No, like you said, unfortunately, it's one of those weather events, and I do know I was up there in the zone working, and unfortunately, there's 2 or 3 people up there that don't have house insurance, so which is a shame. So, but like anything helps, the lots. So now, if you're offering services, I'd say it'd be almost cleaned up.
Yeah, mate, it's a damn sight better than what it looked Friday morning, let me tell you. There's a hype of activity. There's people on roofs and fixing tiles and solar panels and windows and street sweepers. I've never seen the place so busy up there. But, yeah, as far as your services go, obviously probably going through insurance, a lot of it now, the claims would be in. But, there's going to be people out of the houses for a long, long time. And that's just only in my area. I'm sure, it hit a fair range of people. So I'm sure there's plenty of other people, a few streets across that I haven't had the chance to chat with that are probably in the same boat.
I think just the smaller things that help too, like donations of kids' clothing and stuff like that people have lost. And obviously they have to rebuy everything. It takes a while for the insurance claims to come through. So they'd just be missing just those simple things that you don't sort of think about as well. So if anyone likes to donate anything spare they have, that'd be greatly appreciated as well.
One thing that was, so for myself, I was up there first thing in the morning. Obviously my car got hammered by hail. It's in a, what would you say? It's in a bad way. It's got bad marks and that. Going up there and you see people's houses flattened and trees twisted.
Cars are tipped over.
Cars on their roof, etc. The Aussie spirit, mate, you should have seen, like, as bad as it sounds, it was good to see. It was good to see people out in the streets, embracing each other. And regardless of how bad the situation was, there was plenty of light to be shed. And that's just that Aussie spirit. And it makes me, makes me wonder when people say community spirit's dead. I tell you what, in our little town up here in Armidale, mate, our community spirit's well alive, that's for sure.
I think there was a couple of businesses that chucked in with a local mobile coffee vendor as well. They all pitched in for free coffees for all the SES workers. Yeah, down at the Whitebull, we actually ran, when the SES workers come in the afternoons or the night time when they knocked off, they got a free drink, and we gave them a half price chicken snitty as well.
Yeah, right. Well,
I'm actually going for the next day, so...
The hat I'm wearing is actually Peter Kratt's Transport. He was the one who kicked it off. He 500 large towards coffees, and there was numerous other ones got on board, so which was good to see. So, but like I said, boys, that Aussie spirit, that makes a lot of people proud. And as I said up there, I was sort of a bit gobsmacked and just looking around. But mate, there was plenty of people in worse situations than I am. But regardless of what the situation was, they still had a smile on their face, which was wonderful to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, myself, I was fairly lucky. A few damage to the roof and a few fences and whatnot, but definitely, across the street there was a lot worse off. But yeah, same boys. We've had people cook us meals and vouchers for massages and that kind of stuff to relax and that kind of stuff, which is just great. Donated just random people, don't know who they are, and like you said, you speak about that Aussie community spirit, and it definitely is. You can see that in Armidale, especially after one of these tragic events like the tornado we had the other week. Anyway, boys, let's wrap her up. best bet for the weekend. What's your tip?
I'm going to stick with Animo.
Mo'unga for a place.
Oh, mate, you don't back horses to lose.
And I'll go Vittori for the win. Until next time, stay on side and we'll catch up around the corner.